turn that one off now. Okay. Are we on? Yes. The TBM that you're watching out there is personally sponsored by Colonel Anna Uthold of the National Capital Squadron of the Commemorative Air Force. Anna is one of the marshals out here on the ramp, and one of the personally sponsored having this airplane here, which means she paid for it. It costs a lot to get it here. And the Commemorative Air Force is restoring a similar airplane. If you want to go and see this, because the CAF one here locally, probably mine here at the starting bomber, it was acquired by the Military Aviation Museum in 2001. Here it comes. Running TBM, built by General Motors. Terry, take a look. He's off the ground already. That's naval aviation, isn't it, Frank?
Yes, it is indeed. That's a beautiful thing. That's a lot of airplanes to get airborne in a short distance like that. And not too many guys around who can fly an airplane like that with that kind of agility these days.
They say that the airplane is painted in that of Captain Zeke Cormier, who flew combat missions from escort carriers in the North Atlantic. So the airplane is recreating a bit of history here, being painted after one that actually participated, actually flew for the Navy.
Should be coming by bomb bay doors.
It's going to be passing by with the bomb bay doors open. Take a look at one thing for me. See if there's a rear turn engine. I don't think there is. Some of them were manufactured without a rear turn.
See that airplane come by and the bomb bay doors open and 2 feet of coming out and no return for the ship.
Yeah, we want to be close to Frank, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was a powerful airplane. So
that little squadron of those take off. With us for miles.
Looks like he's got the gear down and it's going to come by and give you a dirty pass, I believe.
us what TBM stands for?
I believe it's torpedo bomber. The M stands for General Motors.
Right, as opposed to the F, which is a different manufacturer.
Or TBF is a different manufacturer. F may be Grumman or whatever. Told by the air boss that he's going to make a dirty pass. That's with flaps down, landing gear down, and a resting hook down probably. We'll see.
John, this was almost in the very beginning of the aviation. You can imagine an airplane of this size, and the carriers in those days didn't have, 850 feet of angled deck with the sophisticated arresting gear that we have today. So these guys had to be pretty much spot on, particularly on speed and on center line. They didn't have self-centered gear like these days of carriers. So if they missed it by alignment or they missed it by speed, that's going to be hard. Sometimes the landing signal officer will just kick one foot out of the other to let the pilot know that he needs to step on that rudder to get himself along. That was the sophistication they had from the LSOs. John's just calling us from the cockpit and saying that the next pass he's going to make is the high-speed flyby.
How fast is high speed? Probably not too fast by SAR standards, is it? About 300 knots. Now, what's a knot?
Yeah, he's telling us from the cockpit that he's going to be pretty close to 200 knots.
200, okay.
That's about rotation speed for an Israeli Kafir with a delta wing and a J-79.
Frank, I think that carrier takeoff we saw was the way they actually did it. They did it without chemicals.
Yeah, they did it. You can imagine that. And the B-25s in the days of Joe Dooley. Oh my goodness, yeah. So we had some people there that really, really had to work hard because in the early days of naval aviation, again, we just didn't have the sophistication. One of the most tricky parts, here it comes from the left, in the early days, even up to the early days of the jet age, sometimes it can be really difficult to even find the carrier, especially at night. So a lot of times they I remember Jim Lovell in Apollo 13 talked about he had a complete electrical failure in the airplane, and then they followed the phosphorescence that the aircraft carrier was kicking up in order to find his way to the carrier at night. So that's what he says, and that's his story, and he's sticking to it. But later Apollo 13 astronaut. So he's coming back down with the gear now, he's making a turn, and he's going to be landing.
I guess as high as it gets. That looks pretty fast to me.
So he's going to pop up.
We're told by their boss he's going to make a breakdown when to land.
Yes, the whole show
The gear is down.
You heard the pitch of the prop change there, so imagine that the prop here is at full increase. So he's got two in the front, the tail wheels down. It looks like life's good for John here as he brings the TBM around the wing. As an old LSO, let's see if we can give you a little recreation of what it was like to land on a carrier here. So he's coming off the wrong side of the ship for one thing, but that's what we have to do today.
The angle deck's wrong.
Yeah, it's an angle deck problem. So about this point, you know, we at the 90 degree and on a real aircraft carrier landing, we do about 360 feet or so, and roll out and see what's called the Fresnel lens and the LSO. So right about now, he'd be making a call. He'd be making a call as he rolled into groove, like he had whatever the call sign of the airplane was, TBM 05, ball 2 down, and give us fuel state. And he'd get right over the carrier ramp, and they would give him the cut signal, and then the airplane would just sort of fall out of the air and right onto the carrier deck and hopefully catch a wire. In today's age, with the modern jets, we keep the aircraft at power all the way to touchdown, and as soon as the aircraft touches down, you have to go to complete full power in order to be able to go around in case you miss the wire. But in a prop airplane, because you got instantaneous thrust, you don't have to do that.
Nice landing.
Very, very nice landing. It's kind of nice to have that little bubble back there with the gun.
There's nothing like the sound of a radio imaging. We're doing, at this air show, we're doing a tribute to 100 years of naval aviation. Frankly, maybe a lot of people here didn't hear you talk about it before, but 100 years since what? This is 100 years since what?
Well, actually, it started in 1910, in November of 1910, when Eli made the first takeoff. But again, as you can see, John made a takeoff from the ground, so they didn't really consider that in naval aviation until about 2 months later, in January. They brought the first aircraft aboard the ship to land at aboard the ship. So I believe that was January 14th, 2011. So here we are this year celebrating the 20th anniversary of what was the World Gold out of the way of the landing aircraft, try to stack you up, and then in between launches, you know, as soon as you get to the other side of the ship, they have you fold your wings, move you out of the landing area, and then respot the airplanes for the next go.